Good day, esteemed investors, partners, and viewers. Today, it's already the end of March, practically. Just yesterday itself, official representatives from Moskostroynadzer came to thoroughly inspect the complete compliance and adherence of the constructed object with the architectural and urban planning solution that we have for approval. We reached this stage of work just at precisely the exact moment when numerous and various new and diverse regulatory acts, new regulations, and new requirements were being introduced. First, it was the polygonality, and now, on February 24th, it's the compliance check. One can argue and discuss these initiatives in any way, but from our trench, we might not see the strategic intentions. All of which, indeed, on a larger scale, will eventually have a favorable impact on all construction processes. One thing is clear, we have significantly slowed down, and not just us, but many industrial facilities have slowed down with the procedure of completing construction. Some have gone through it 7 times, others more or less based on their luck. As of now, currently, based on the results of yesterday's inspection, we have only faced administrative measures rather than fines of $500,000 or $1 million as the documents require. At the present moment, as per the latest update, for the first time, let's say, we got a slight reprimand. But as fate would have it, or as luck would have it, we have specialists in our esteemed project who thoroughly understand exactly what to do and precisely how to do it. And they efficiently perform functions that are not usually typical for them. But this is, of course, a necessary measure. Why? Because, as the saying goes, the salvation of the drowning is the responsibility of the drowning themselves. Therefore, it is in our interest to resolve this issue as soon as possible. Because so far, it ultimately leads to nothing but administrative processes, unproductive ones like these, which lead nowhere. We are not spending time only on this. We are also engaged in installing equipment, fine-tuning, connecting, and training people, specialists who will work on it. And time is not being wasted. In chat number 1, materials are regularly posted, and then materials are posted on other resources. Just a few moments ago, right before the live broadcast, right before this important webinar, I quickly went down to the guys, and they are currently installing a new pipe bending machine. Next week, specialists are supposed to arrive and start it up. In this way, we are spending time setting up technological chains and preparing them for operation. Therefore, time is not wasted. We also have to solve many other tasks that arise because they are related to pipes, which are objects with increased accountability to technical supervision, and these tasks include maintenance, inspection, and ensuring compliance with safety regulations. And we are solving tasks related to building operation, facilities, occupational safety, ecology, and many other administrative tasks and responsibilities, such as. These need to be addressed within the framework of a serious production, a serious enterprise, as they are mandatory components. All of this is being done, and it needs to be completed as soon as possible. Because after receiving the conclusion on the completion of construction, we will have a month, as currently regulated, to obtain the permit for commissioning. The deadlines there will also be tight, and if we don't meet them, there will be corresponding administrative measures. In addition, as per our previous discussions and according to our commitments, we must initiate product production in May. But naturally, the concept of production is interpreted differently. Everyone thinks like this, snap, and a finished product appears at the output. It's not quite like that, because if we look at our neighbors next door, they are engaged in the production of photolithographs, and they are currently in production. But the product will be ready in 2 years because the production cycle lasts 2 years. For us, of course, these cycles are not as long, but nevertheless, from the moment, let's say, of producing a batch of metal, stamping it, to the release of an angle grinder, well, the full cycle will take half a month, for sure. So, colleagues, we are indeed very soon on the verge of pressing the button and observing how the equipment will work, the one intended not for experimental production, but for serial production. We ourselves are also eagerly waiting for this moment to come, and we are doing everything we can to bring it closer. The team at this stage of the work is performing all the required actions and is indeed quite qualified. And let's put it this way, well, I don't want to say that we are not worse than others, but at a very professional level, demanding more is impossible because, for example, there's a procedure where we upload documents to the portal and they tell us it didn't go through, try again, and on the third try it went through. The documents have been sent for review. And from this moment, we start counting 20 business days. 20 business days pass, and they say, oh, there's a little mistake here, fix it. We fix it, upload it, and another 20 days. Therefore, there's no way to resolve it differently. Right now, everything is set up this way. But the task of starting mass production, starting the production of the product according to the project, according to the project's developments, must be resolved this year. And it should be understood that our product is almost entirely localized in Russia because the wires, copper, aluminum, steel, all are almost entirely Russian. PCBs are Russian. Of course, the radio-electronic components. These are not ours. But at the same time, it should be understood that for us, for the controllers, for the angle grinder, and for the engines, the software is of our own development. It wasn't bought anywhere. It wasn't borrowed from anywhere. There is no need to bow to anyone. It's all ours. And all of this was done during the implementation of the project and a little bit related to the pre-project phase about 7 years ago. Because in total, the development of software products took more than 13 years, and now it's the 14th year. The task is not that straightforward, indeed, and it should be understood that in other companies, foreign companies, it's also not easily resolved as one might think. Because traction controllers that truly meet the demands, I would only name the company Curtis. This is certainly what I had to deal with and thoroughly test. We have every chance to take a leading position in the professional equipment markets. Well, look, let me give you an example. As of today, a 40 kilowatt engine, ours is 60 at maximum. This is 40 kilowatts for unmanned systems and air taxis. Together with the frequency regulator, they are sold for 23,000 euros, with BLDC magnets and so on. Accordingly, everyone can calculate how much the engines cost in rubles based on the exchange rate, along with control. And now let's imagine something like this, that the equipment, self-manufactured equipment, what was shown in chat number 1, the frame along with the package, how it should look. Well, the frame with the rotor will now be made into a package, and it will be manufactured in approximately 1 minute with all losses. So, 60 in an hour, and in 8 hours, 400. This is for the casting machine. 400 units, yes, engines. That's what can potentially be done in one shift. Converted to rubles, even at half the price of the competitor. Is it realistic? Yes, it is. But what is needed for this? For this, you need machines that wind the sections, so they operate with the same efficiency, producing sets of sections, windings, 1 set per minute. A second pulling machine, 1 set per minute. And so on. We can achieve this, and if we look at the market analysis, which we know and have seen, the demand, the market consumes all of this. What kind of money are we talking about? We based everything on this. We calculated, we looked, and understand. No one makes such steps like, let's go there, or let's go from here. No, everything is calculated. The prospects are calculated and considered. And everyone now clearly understands that unmanned systems will develop very seriously. Even delivery services, indeed, those delivery people who are well paid now, will eventually be replaced by unmanned systems. And not ground-based ones. There's no more room on the ground. We know how many accidents happen with all the delivery people, with cars, with everyone. It's crowded on the ground. At the beginning of the project, we even discussed and said that we would move to 3D movement. This is an inevitable prospect for the development of transportation, and I don't want to say logistics, but all movements, because on Earth, 2D is already crowded, and this was the focus. Similarly, the focus was just on professional tools and other things, which I'll keep quiet about for now, but I'll tell you about them in time. And what we laid out 7 years ago is now indeed being confirmed. I hope that what we are doing will contribute significantly towards the environmental protection of cargo delivery and in a significant way, reaching remote areas. Especially when natural disasters occur, for example, in the mountains, when avalanches happen, mud flows, when delivery, evacuation, and other things are needed, and will serve peaceful forces.
When are the new flight tests for the Modilek drone planned?
We are currently experiencing a delay. Why? The Chinese controllers let us down in the last batch. Now we are waiting for 2 events. Whichever comes first, either the arrival of a new batch of controllers from China or the completion of the debugging of our controllers. And whichever comes first, that's when we'll proceed. But I believe it will be soon, because this concept that has been developed now, where blocks and modules can indeed be detached like a Kalashnikov magazine. Quick change because you don't have to wait for recharging. You have a set charging, attach it, and fly.
How many aircraft engines can DET be produced per day? And will we be able to sell them? Is there demand?
According to the analysis, specifically in the agricultural sector of the United States, in the year 2023, the demand for super heavicopters currently amounts to $12 trillion in monetary value. The quantity that can be produced depends on the equipment. I mentioned, for example, the casting capacity that can be ensured, but it will be limited by an insufficient number of machines for winding sections, such as those used in other processes. Therefore, indeed, the amount of product produced per day is determined by the productivity of the lowest performing operation. Well, in any case, 1 or 2 per day is realistic for today. I mean, not engines, but 4 engines, 8 engines, that's realistic per day as of today. Well, I hope that incoming investments will allow us to increase this number significantly.
Will engines be developed for electric vehicles to achieve greater energy efficiency, like Tesla, Honda, BAT?
Look, imagine this. The engine we have just made can easily be installed, 2 of them, in a buggy or an ATV. 2 controllers, 2 batteries, so there's autonomy. If one fails, you can drive on the other, no problem, and the engine is the same. Possible.
Easily.
And nothing stops us, for example, from making a complete product with this equipment. If before we talked about the engine, only about the controller, this equipment not only allows us to make the Modilek, but it also enables ground transport. Look, why did we abandon the concept we started with back then? Because a program was adopted to install such highly advanced technological equipment, plus this 300-ton press, which allows them to make suspension elements. Please, you can make such systems, but they will be based on already developed engine and controller models. Right now, even unexpectedly, well, the construction of a helicopter pad has just been completed here on the site. With certain types of agreements, you can try to negotiate effectively to make approaches there, even to the point where Modilek is tethered and fixed, if necessary. So that later on, you can move on to serious testing grounds.
Is the Book of Machikov available for purchase now and later, and how much will it cost?
It's a reference book on combined windings, and there are still copies available. The book costs 20,000 rubles. The price hasn't changed, but there are still some copies left.
I've been with you for 8 years. Can you tell me if the project's investors will be able to sell our products at dealer prices in the CIS?
They will be able to. We've talked about this already, because mainly dealers, we said that priority will be given to investors. But you have to understand that selling means also providing service, support, warranty, replacement, all these procedures. So it's not just about selling, getting your margin, and saying, I don't know anything. All support will need to be provided. What is the approximate price of the grinder? We are excited to announce that we will release our new product line soon at prices that allow us to compete effectively with existing BLDC models and also with high-frequency Bosch professional tools. These competitive prices will enable us to effectively compete in the market.
And how long can the Modilec drone fly on a single charge?
The ambient air temperature, because lithium doesn't like low temperatures, winter, summer, air density, wind. There are so many variables that only testing will show. And on top of that, we are currently using a battery with 88 amp hours, and if needed, we will increase it according to the customer's current requirements. Right now, we are waiting for the tests to be conducted to decide whether we need to increase the battery or not.
Earlier, you mentioned the safe landing of a quadcopter in the event of one engine failure. Is this a new solution, and will it be patented?
We will file patents for those we consider to be necessary, in our opinion, because we have already filed patents in the very initial stages of our project to protect us from patent trolls and potential interceptions. They were created for this purpose in the past. And now we are getting closer to the stage where we need to file commercial patents, and they should be launched at this point in time, in the near future, at the moment preceding the product's market release. This has maximized the duration of the opponent's term for commercial purposes.
We need to develop agricultural drones like robotic vacuums with a base. The battery runs out, it flies back, lands on the base, refuels, charges, then continues flying on its own.
Yes, it doesn't charge, it changes the battery.
He also means will, like, or substance is there.
Yes. By the way, we have met, they have visited us. Agreements are already in place. We are working in this direction, colleagues.
Another revelation, right?
They're just waiting for the go-ahead from us on when we can visit. We simply want our initial products to have no complaints so that people can use them and enjoy the experience. You understand, our current task is the drives. Because there are plenty of flight controllers, navigation systems, and everything else on the market right now, and they are well developed. And there are highly excellent specialists who handle this task exceptionally well, who have experience with artificial intelligence and expertise. If you give them a foundation, it's like giving a programmer a computer. An IT specialist can create anything. Because we indeed need to provide them with this foundation, and they will build upon it anything imaginable, even things that are hard to conceive. Give them the tools, and they will do it. And they will do it wonderfully, excellently, because everyone should solve their own task. And in order to solve the task we have taken on, a serious technological foundation is needed. To create a flight controller, even a qualified young person, even a school student, can do it. There are many talented kids who write programs and know how to use a soldering iron. Plus, there are kits available, such as they can write their own program and reflash it. This no longer requires a serious material base or high-tech resources.
Are there plans for motors with silver-plated wire? Can the D895C motor be made without a speed sensor, or is there no point in that?
Without a speed sensor. We are developing a controller which will not have a sensor or an encoder. This reduces costs and significantly increases reliability. And all the engine parameters are determined through the appropriate mathematics. Yes, this is possible.
Are machines still coming from China?
Yes, they are. Advances have been paid, and there will still be additional payments needed, but the machines are on their way. A gear-cutting machine is indeed coming. A heading machine is on its way. As far as I remember, a vibration test stand is coming, and equipment is on its way now, stamping segments for the rotor and stator. They should be sending the equipment for casting the engine bed right at this very moment, because besides the machines, we are currently placing orders for equipment. We definitely need to do it with our own resources, but it's not enough, so to speed up, we're also ordering equipment from there.